Hey guys, it's your boy Jehuty here with another video. Title of this video is called How to Deal with Law, and it's more or less a video how to deal with like very typical tactic and moves law players use at beginner and intermediate levels. It's not a cure for all. And the format of this is quite simple. We start off with his launchers, and we talk about typical moves and strings you should be looking out for, his throws, and then of course the philosophy about how to actually deal with his tactics. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start off with Law's launchers, in particular the doppel flip everybody knows. It comes in at -18, so it can be launch punished by almost the entire cast, if not the whole cast. And you realize that there is a trend that flip moves can be launch punished. Next up is the down kick into flip. It is also -18. However, what you should take into consideration is that on counter hit, if the low hits you on counter, he gets the launcher guaranteed. Next up is the crouching 2 into 3. This is a very annoying move because it goes under highs and it can sometimes be used in frame traps, which I'll later on get into the philosophy. But just like the other moves, it's also launch punishable. However, it's only -15 in comparison. Then of course we have this move, which used to be safe in prior Tekken games. Now it is -13, can be punished, but it has pushback. The ideal punish, however, is to duck the last hit. With a bit of time in practice mode, you should be able to duck the last hit of the string all the time and launch punish it, of course. Next move is considered very annoying by many people, while rising 2, because it has a lot of pushback. So you need moves that cover a lot of ground. If you want to launch punish it, as you just saw with the hop kick, that can be problematic as well because the pushback's a lot. However, most characters have a launcher that covers a lot of distance, and that's what you should use. Law can, however, mix this also up with the E-slide. You can fake out an E-slide and use while rising 2, so you have to guess. So once you see the E-slide movement, you backdash. That means that while rising 2 will whiff, and all you have to deal with is the E-slide. So now let's talk about moves and strings typically used by law players on beginner and intermediate levels. First up is a move you all know very well, forward forward 3. It's a power crush that has a lot of pushback. However, it is -18, so if you block it, you should, just like the other moves mentioned before, launch punish it by finding a move that bridges the gap. The next move is also a move you know very well, and that is Dragon's Tail, especially if you've been playing some 3-bar laws. Anyway, jokes aside, this is still a good move. It comes out a bit faster than the Snake Edge, however it's still seeable, so a beginner level it may be spammed a lot, but at intermediate level they will use it more sparingly, and they would use it at the wall because when you try to wake up at the wall and they still hit you while you're grounded, they're guaranteed the second hit, and that leads to a good amount of pressure, so be expecting this move at the wall. Next up is another string people somewhat don't know how to deal with. The trick is just wait for the third extension hit. Don't try to retaliate after the second one, wait for the third. It has a lot of pushback, it's -14 though, so look for a move that bridges the gap and then punish it accordingly. Next up is the string setup, which is a bit annoying for certain people. The mid extension is a launcher and is safe, and the low extension does a lot of damage. What you need to know is that you can either wait and block and launch punish the low extension, because it is still reactable and seeable. However, there is a much simpler solution for the whole mix-up, and that is a low parry. You just need to know after at the second hit you have a low, and that is low parryable, and then you follow up, of course, with a combo. There's another string which follows the same mantra, and however it ends with either a high or a mid. Now you could duck the high, of course, because that's the preferred way it likes to be ended, and launch punish by ducking. However, once in a while a law does pack out the mid extension. However, that in itself is also launch punishable, so he will go sparsely about using that move. Once again, the option select for this is low parry, the second hit. Second kick is a low parry it, and then of course follow up with a low parry combo. Next up is Law's back turn mix up. Now what you need to know is that in most cases you're going to be launched if you guess wrong here, and that's because Law is either going to be fishing for a mid launcher or a low launcher. He has other moves, but that is actually his goal in this back turn mix up. Now what you need to know is that unless you actually visually see the low, which is actually reactable to, do not duck. I repeat, do not duck. Let's talk about Law's throws. Now Law has decent throws, but the only ones you should actually be worried about are these two. Forward 2+3, which you're just seeing here, which has a strange animation, and then forward 3+4, which gives Law a full combo afterwards. Now firstly is forward 2+3, and that can be broken with 1. So despite having that strange animation, you'll see it, you know that you can break it with 1. You don't typically see it that much because of the input, and because it can just easily be broken with 1, but at intermediate play they tend to use it because there's more of a mind game with throws. Forward 3+4 can be broken with 1+2. Now this is the throw you should be paying attention to because, as mentioned before, Law gets a full combo out of it, and if you break it there's also a positioning change, so keep that in mind. Now I can finally talk about the philosophy of how to deal with Law players. Now Law is a character that excels at creating frame traps, and of course also excels at creating pressure through use of moves that are very plus on block. What you need to understand about these moves for the most part is that they're very linear, meaning they're steppable, and Law's weak side is your stepping to the right. Another thing that is worth mentioning is a special flip kick of Law's, which you're seeing here right now, which is his only safe flip kick. And you may think it's launch punishable like the other flip kicks, however it's safe, and Law may use this as a trap to lure you into actually retaliating. Other stuff which Law has is his magic 4, and once again, do not press unnecessary buttons versus Law. If you see that he's using safe moves, do not retaliate immediately. This is like a typical trap in which he makes it seem like he's not doing anything. You hesitate for a moment, and just when you think it's your turn, he throws out the 4. Then he has other moves he can use to go underneath your highs. So he sets up a safe string. You think it's your turn, you retaliate with, of course, the quickest move you have, which are your jabs. He goes underneath it and launches you. Of course, this can backfire, and that's if you're listening to my advice. You do not retaliate after safe strings, and then you can bait him into doing it, and then you launch him yourself. 4-3 in particular is a string you should watch out for. If he doesn't add the additional 4 at the end, he may be wanting to go into Dragon Sign stance, which is this back sway you're seeing here right now. He has a couple of very nasty moves which can come out. Now let's talk about the stance itself. For the most part, it's just one low which comes out of this stance which you have to watch out for. So if you see this, make sure to backdash immediately so the low doesn't hit you. Everything else is a mid or a high which comes out of that stance. So you should be safe if you're on the defensive. Now he has another stance which is the Dragon Charge stance, and he has access to exactly the same tools out of it. So the rules are the same, backdash if you see it, however it is a bit quicker, and make sure to be on the defensive and not retaliate with something of your own. Now in particular the dive kick which comes out of the stance can be a bit problematic. It's very plus on block, and Law can mix it up with the running 3 which you just saw over there. The trick in this case is that you can actually sidestep or sidewalk sidewalk preferably, to the right, both of options. And then of course the one which comes out of stance is duckable, and then the other one is blockable, however it leaves him on plus. So that about does it for this guide. And remember, this isn't a cure for all, this is just how to deal with law on beginner intermediate levels. Of course, if you have questions or you want to discuss, leave comments in the comment section. If you liked it, leave a like. If you disliked it, leave a dislike. Of course, consider subscribing because I release content on the regular basis. Anyway, Jehuty is out, and you all have a nice day and keep enjoying Tekken.